So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm sick and tired of seeing headlines and titles like this. This is just clickbait. It's salacious nonsense. Moist Critical is putting out a video, obviously for clicks, obviously for views. If you actually watch the video, he doesn't have any evidence to support this other than the court document from the perspective of the plaintiff. So, he's reading an article that is in favor of the plaintiff and just taking everything that they say at face value and making the determination that Vince McMahon is evil. Now, when I read this same bit of information, I had a bit of a different approach because Moist Critical and I view women very, very differently. I view women as human beings who are capable of lying, of being treacherous, deceitful, being trustworthy, being honest, being amazing. But at the end of the day, you judge people based on what you see, what's being presented, and also what you know human beings are capable of. So, if there's a story where you have a woman who is repeatedly involved in a bunch of situations that she's complaining about, and the underlying thing that you take away from that is how terrible is Vince McMahon, that 50 times he did this, and this, and in this situation he did this, and this situation he did this, and over years he did this. When I look at that, I say, why was there even more than one situation? Why was there even more than one encounter? If this were a case where Vince McMahon was sexually assaulting and raping this woman against her will, why was there more than one? Why did she stick around? The answer is because she's lying. There is not a single ounce of truth to this. What is more likely is that she was a mistress. And at the time, it was a status position. It was prestigious. She was getting paid, and at the end of the day, it was enough money and enough gifts that she was fine with it. But now that Vince McMahon is not paying her, and this is the whole crux of the story that Moist Critical didn't really mention, the reason she's coming out is because Vince stopped paying her. So, it is in her best interest to lie and be as salacious as possible to get people talking about this so that she can get more money. There is not 1 ounce of truth in anything this woman said. Do you know how I know? Do you know how I know that everything she said was a lie? From one story where she went too far, where she said she was involved in a gangbang and Vince McMahon took a dump on her head. That's what she said. So, could it be possible that this is true? Sure, it could be possible. Vince could be a kinky guy. I know that in his career, no one has ever said anything like this. Yeah, he's a perv and a horn dog, absolutely. He likes beautiful women, as most powerful men do. But all of this stuff is ridiculous. But it's the fact that after Vince McMahon allegedly shat on her head, she continued to stay. After she got her head shat on, she stayed. That, for me, if I'm in a position I don't want to be in and some guy shits on my head, hell, it could be the most attractive. Scarlett Johansson could take a shit on my head. I'm leaving. I'm getting the hell out of there. I'm going, get me out of here. I'm never seeing this person again. That is horrific. I'm done. But what it seems like, more than likely, is this woman couldn't say no to the gifts. And instead of taking responsibility, weak men like Charlie come out and put headlines like this and put the entire blame, the entire 8 minutes and 45 seconds was dedicated to how bad a guy Vince was. Now, I'm not here to tell you that he was a great guy. But at the end of the day, you have to think critically. Ironically enough, Moist Critical isn't thinking critically. He is blaming Vince for the entirety of this when women agency, I thought women were supposed to be stunning and brave and amazing and just as good as men and you treat them equal. That's my philosophy. Why isn't Charlie doing that? Why doesn't anyone do that? Why don't they treat women as agents of their own mental faculties, capable of making decisions, good or bad, and then holding them accountable for those decisions. If you are in a years long, multiple incident relationship with Vincent Kennedy McMahon, you expect me to lower my IQ to that of a Twitch streamer to come out and say Vince McMahon bad, man with power and money and status bad because he wants women who are beautiful and attractive and uses that to get women. You know, the irony here is that we don't in any way put any sort of objection on women using their looks to get ahead. Oh, there may be some of that, a little bit of it, but not really. Not really. Not in certain cases. So, I look at this, like, I'll give you an example actually. Amaranth. Amaranth, she has a large audience. She gets paid millions and millions of dollars. Do you think it's because of her stunning insights on issues? Do you think it's because of her skill playing a video game? No. No, it's not even because she's got the biggest hits in the world. No, the reason why people watch Amaranth is because she's stunningly attractive. Her body is basically the right proportions for a fantasy character, essentially. That's why she can cosplay as pretty much anything. People pay to see her because they are so attracted to her. And she makes a fortune. An absolute fortune off of that. Off of nothing else. She writes men's names on her body. She is allowed to do that. And people don't really have much of an issue with it. Not really. Now there's some incels and some virgins who were upset about it. How dare they? But people don't take those people seriously. They make fun of them all the time. In fact, Moist Critical makes fun of incels and losers and people who can't talk to women all the time. Probably, and this is my guess, is because he was one before he got rich, before he got famous, and before he got a large audience. Because that's the difference maker. Whether it's Asmongold or whether it's Moist Critical, both of these people take away the money, take away the channel, take away the attention, just have them be average guys. They're not pulling in anywhere near the caliber of girls that they have now. Especially Asmon. Holy shit. I was recommended a video on his channel. There was some Asian girl, super attractive, had huge tits, beautiful. Just stunningly beautiful. And she's just sitting next to Asmon and I'm going, God bless you, sir. You know, whatever you're doing, you are indeed blessed. But at the end of the day, getting back to the story, this man is evil. No, Vince McMahon is evil. Vince McMahon, from what I've seen in this, did nothing wrong. Because everything, no matter how much you may not like it, was consensual. Obviously, Vince McMahon did not traffic women. This is an absurd claim for the sake of being salacious, for the sake of a headline, for the sake of going above and beyond in order to make this seem worse than it is for money. Now, if you fly your mistress around the country and she gets in the plane and you serve her caviar and wine and you're having sex with her high above the sky, you go from state to state, is that trafficking? Because there are people who say, well, yeah, that's sexual trafficking. That you're taking your mistress from state to state, taking her with you on the road, letting her fly. Is that trafficking? I don't think it is. But there's some people that would argue it is in order to get Vince McMahon because they want a moment to have a feeling of catharsis, a cathartic experience. Either they don't like Vince McMahon or they don't like white men or they don't like billionaires or they're jealous of Vince McMahon's success. Whatever the case may be, I reject in its entirety Moist Critical's assertions here. His thumbnail, I mean, that mustache is just horrific. The title is bad. I don't agree with this. And also, I would say the same thing if somebody made a video with Moist Critical's picture, said, "This man is evil," and it had a picture of him with a bunch of dildos. Now, I don't know the size of Moist Critical's audience. I don't know what age they are. I know the size of it. He's got a very, very large audience. I don't know the age of his audience. I don't know. I don't have that information. I tried to look it up actually to see what the general age is, because I was curious to know. It could be 20 to 25. It could be 30-year-olds. Who knows? But at the end of the day, he's walking around with giant dildos, sex toys, reviewing sex toys, throwing lube all over the place. I mean, somebody could say, well, Moist Critical is... You get what I'm saying. You understand the point that I'm making. It's very easy to make moral statements when there's somebody who's popular. This is a case in point. You could say, well, Moist Critical had the Moby Huge. He had all of these sex toys. He would throw sex toys at water bottles, do Mr. Beast style content that attracts younger audiences, and feature dildos, which is not appropriate for kids. Again, I don't know the age of his audience, but if somebody were to write an article, if somebody were to make a headline, if somebody were to make that declaration, I would equally be as boisterous to say that's absurd. Because it's about consistency, and I'm not looking for salacious headlines or clickbait or to try to get a gotcha on somebody. I think Moist Critical is fine to do the content that he does, provided it's not to kids, but I don't think that it is. I think he's got an older audience, probably, if I had to guess, I'd probably say 18 to 25 is the primary demographic, but I could be wrong. It could be older. Anyway, that's what I have to say about this, ladies and gentlemen. I don't really have anything against Moist Critical personally. It's just I'm sick of Twitch streamers doing this virtue signaling, this grandstanding, this ignorant, low IQ, low effort, gotcha bullshit. Because that's exactly what it is. Moist Critical, I guarantee you, read one headline, read part of one article, and that was it. I, on the other hand, went to watch clips from people who have known Vince McMahon for 40 years. Dutch Mantel was one. Jim Cornette was another. And Jim Cornette does not like Vince McMahon. In no way does he like Vince McMahon, because Vince McMahon hired Vince Russo, and Jim Cornette hates Vince Russo. And he was defending Vince in his own way, saying, well, I've known Vince for 40 years. I've been to his house. I've been to his hotel room. I've been everywhere. I've been, him one-on-one. I've been with him with people, girls there, guys there, mix of all between. He's like, I've never seen Vince McMahon come out in his underwear. I've never seen Vince McMahon do anything like that. You know a man for 40 years, you can sort of get a general feeling for what they're like. Now, sure, people can surprise you, but is it more likely that the people who have known him for 40 years are wrong, or that this woman with the financial incentive is lying? Sorry to piss on your virtue signaling bonfire, Critical, but that's my take on this. I think she's lying. I think this is ridiculous. I think this is over-the-top sensationalism. I think people just want somebody to get. And they like rooting against the heel. And Vince McMahon has been a heel for a long time. So this plays into their entire thing. Now, him stepping down, I think, was very interesting. But I don't consider that to be proof that he's guilty. Oh, he's guilty. No. Very likely he was told, hey, for the good of the company, could you step down? Because, look at this. This is going to be a whole thing. Anyway, that's just my theory. If you have your own, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time.